And now Yong Su will join me in our 3 refuges. Excuse me. And that can be found in the chat room. I don't think I told Yong Su about that. So if you don't see it, just follow along. I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, my deeply awakened, I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the 3 jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. And now we will chant our Heart Sutra. Dhamma Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra, the Bodhisattva of great compassion from the deep practice of Prajna Paramita, perceived the emptiness of all 5 skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind, no realm of sight, no realm of consciousness, no ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance, no old age and death, nor extinction of them, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna, paramita. Therefore, the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance, there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant, peerless mantra, the utmost supreme mantra, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna, paramita. Gate, gate, para gate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. The Maha Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra. Thank you, Yong Su. I neglected to say, if you're new to this, brand new, then just follow along or observe as you feel comfortable. And I hope you'll stay with us after the Dharma talk for our virtual tea, where we can get to know each other a little better. Today, we're going to talk about some real tough stuff. It's hard to hear. Tomorrow is the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa race massacre. And we're also going to talk about George Floyd. And we're going to look at how our practice can be used to deal with trauma like this. That these kind of events perpetrate on our brothers and sisters of color and on their white allies even. So first, Tulsa. On the night of May 31st, 1921, a white mob fortified by police started 2 days of destruction and bloodshed for the affluent African American community of Greenwood. Black residents tried to protect themselves, but were sorely outnumbered and overpowered. Eyewitnesses recalled the specter of men carrying torches through the streets to set fire to homes and businesses. After that 2 days came martial law and the arrest and internment of thousands of African Americans, not one single white. The massacre had been sparked by reports that a 19-year-old black man had allegedly offended a 17-year-old white female. The murky incident got blown out of proportion by the inflammatory news accounts. The massacre destroyed 40 square blocks in Greenwood. Nearly 10,000 people were left homeless. 1,256 homes were looted and burned. and the thriving commercial district was destroyed. Some of the finest Black-owned and operated businesses in the country, including hotels, restaurants, grocery stores, a theater, a roller skating rink, hospitals, doctors' offices, law firms, and churches. Those white journalists who lit the fire of this slaughter called it the Tulsa Race Riot. It took almost 100 years to correct that to the Tulsa Race Massacre. And from there, we continue on, seeing incidents of harassment, abuse, and murder upon the African American community. Up until this past week, George Floyd's murder on May 25th of 2020, the 1-year anniversary. When I say 9 minutes, I bet you all know what I mean. And we're going to be doing that a little later. This issue became very real and personal to me. I had a picture that I was going to show you, but it's lost and it doesn't matter. It's my 5-year, 11-month-old grandson who is German, Korean, and African American. And he has his mask on and a sign around his chest saying Black Lives Matter. Someday, his father is going to have to sit him down and have a talk with him that has got to be the most painful thing that father's done. He's got to tell his little son that there are people in this world that hate you just because of the color of your skin. And some of those may want to harm you and even kill you. And unfortunately, there's some, not all by any means, but there are some police who are sworn to protect and serve that have that racist view. A fearful conversation, rightfully fearful. And he's going to be told, you need to do better. You need to be perfect. You need to watch yourself so that you don't get caught up in the trap. And now we're going to take a few moments, and 3 people are going to read the names of just a very few of the people that have been so affected by this racism, this brand. So start when you're ready, please.
Unarmed Philando Castile, age 32. Unarmed Alton Sterling, age 37. Unarmed Freddie Gray, age 25. Unarmed Janisha Fonville, age 20. Unarmed Eric Garner, age 43. Unarmed Michelle Cousseau, age 50. Unarmed Botham Jean, age 26, 2 years older than myself. Unarmed Botham, age 26, was sitting on his sofa at his home eating ice cream. Jean was shot by an off-duty police officer named Geiger after she entered his apartment building, believing, she said, that it was hers and that he was a dangerous intruder. Geiger was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 10 years in prison. The maximum sentence available for murder was 99 years. The prosecutors had asked for a 28-year sentence. Botham's brother, Brant Jean, hugged Geiger in court and told her he forgave her.
Unarmed Gabriella Cabanas, age 22. Unarmed Michael Brown, age 18. Unarmed Tanisha Anderson, age 37. Unarmed Akai Gurley, age 28. Unarmed Stefan Clark, age 22. Unarmed Tamir Rice, age 12. Unarmed Tamir, age 12, was playing the toy gun in a park. Within 2 seconds of arriving in the park, Officer Timothy Lohman had fatally shot Tamir. Police then tackled his 14-year-old sister, Tajai, to the ground, handcuffed her, and put her in the back of a police car. It took a full 4 minutes for police to administer first aid to Tamir. He died in the hospital the next day. Lohman and his partner, Garmbark, were not indicted. Garmbark was suspended for 10 days.
Unarmed Unarmed Daniel Prude, age 41. Unarmed George Floyd, age 46. Unarmed Breonna Taylor, age 26. Unarmed Atatiana Jefferson, age 28. Unarmed Ora Rosser, age 40. Unarmed Dante Wright, age 20. Unarmed Dante, age 20, was stopped for a traffic violation. When he tried to get back in his car, police officer Kim Potter shot and killed Dante. The police chief said it was an accident, that Potter mistook her gun for her taser. Police Chief Tim Gannon and Officer Kim Potter both later resigned. Potter has been charged with second-degree manslaughter.
Thank you. So where does a Buddhist go in the face of all this tragedy? Well, if you're a Buddhist, you first look to the Four Noble Truths. And the first truth is life is full of dukkha. And dukkha can be translated in various ways: unsatisfactory, anxiety, stress. But those words don't nearly describe what we've just talked about. And so life is suffering is very appropriate in this place. So then we look to the cause of that suffering: desire born of greed, anger, and ignorance. It's easy to see the white mob's greed when you when they were reading in that morning Tulsa Daily World newspaper, and I quote, how could those racial slur do this good, be this successful? So the white mob's greed is very apparent. Delusion, greed, anger, obviously, they were full of it, rage. And the delusion is that they can hurt someone without hurting themselves. That idea is a little harder to see. My teacher, Amko, loves to say 0 degrees of separation, and so do I. It's a basic idea in Buddhism of oneness, non-duality. And the idea of Buddha nature, that all of us have Buddha nature. Even that white mob in Tulsa, even Derek Chauvin, who killed George Floyd. Yes, they all have Buddha nature. They're not just demonstrating it in any way. There's a Low John saying, reflection, which Lojong is a 12th century Tibetan practice of mind training for compassion. And one of the reflections is, by thinking of all sentient beings as more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel for accomplishing the highest aim, I will always hold them dear. Yep, even those people, even Hitler. That's what we work toward. And that's not an easy thing to do by any means. There's a poem by Thich Nhat Hanh which eloquently states this idea. It's a longer poem than I'm going to read today. You can get it on Google, and it's definitely worth the read. Do not say that I'll depart tomorrow, because even today I still arrive. Look deeply. I arrive every second to be a bud on a spring branch, to be a tiny bird with wings still fragile, learning to sing in my new nest. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, in order to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and death of all that are alive. I am the mayfly on the surface of the river. I am the bird which, when spring arrives, it's time to eat the mayfly. I am the frog swimming happily in the clear pond. And I am also the grass snake who, approaching in silence, feeds on the frog. I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo shoots. And I am the armed merchant selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I am the 12-year-old girl, refugee on a small boat, who throws herself into the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. I am the sea pirate, whose heart is not yet capable of seeing and loving. And then the poem concludes. My joy is like spring, so warm it flowers, bloom in all walks of life. So warm, it makes flowers bloom in all walks of life. My pain is like a river of tears, so full it fills the four oceans. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and laughs at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Please call me by my names, so I can wake up, and so the door of my heart can be left open, the door of compassion. Brian, Jean's brother, who forgave the cop who killed his brother, lives this poem. And I'm sure it was a big task to get to that point. The Shin Ming, another basic teaching here at the temple. Lojong and Shin Ming, two dear practices I love. It says, each thing reveals the one. The one manifests as all things. To live in this realization is not to worry about perfection or non-perfection. To put your trust in heart-mind. And there's one word in the Asian language that means both of those things. It's just one word, not two, heart-mind. To put your trust in heart-mind is to live without separation. And in this non-duality, you are one with your life force. And let's go back to the third noble truth. There is a way out. And that's number 4, the Eightfold Path. And we take a look at right view. And Thich Nhat Hanh's poem certainly says that all. Seeing oneness. Seeing oneness is the view that can heal. But when events like these, with the events like these, we try to live this poem. But there's no guilt if we aren't there yet. And we must have compassion for ourselves through that process, that healing process. And nobody can say, oh, you should be over it by now. I don't care how long it's been. You have a process. At some point, if you practice, it will get better. To deny anger is not compassionate. There's another Lojong reflection that kind of deals with this. In my every action, I will watch my mind. And the moment destructive emotions arise, I confront them strongly and avert them. Big word, avert them, since they will hurt both me and others. This doesn't say you can't have anger, but diverting it, stopping the acting out of that anger is where we and others get hurt. But we got to get through that process. If we deny our anger and there's still righteous anger within us, it's going to come out in different ways, in ways we may not even be aware of, because we're bottling up that energy so tightly. We need to let that energy out, but not in destructive ways, not pointed at others or ourselves. And that can be a personal project for you. Pounding on pillows, who knows? It's going to take more than a few pillows to deal with this kind of stuff. When we start to get a right view, we see that the prison holds both the jailer and the prisoner. And if we keep fueling that fire of anger, we're in that prison. The only way out of that prison is love. That's the key. Love, like has been expressed in Thich Nhat Hanh's poem, and like the love that that man forgave his brother's killer. And this in no way, shape, or form means we accept heinous acts. One more Lojan. I must stop personalizing things. I will look at the poison and not the person. The poison is racist anger. But the racist himself has Buddha nature. And he probably wasn't born a racist. He learned it. And in some ways, he or she can unlearn it. Whenever I see ill-natured beings or those overwhelmed by heavy misdeeds or suffering, all the people, all the perpetrators we talked about are overwhelmed by heavy misdeeds and suffering. And then it goes on to say, I will cherish these people as something rare, as though I'd found a priceless treasure. Wow, that's a leap. A priceless treasure. Work on that one for a while. So where does the Buddhist go in face of tragedy? We go to the Four Noble Truths in our practice, where we see the suffering of ourselves and others. We go to the Eightfold Path, where we've talked about right view, but the other seven, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right concentration, and right mindfulness, we can pick those as the occasion arises. And we always say right view, and that's, or right, all of them. Skillful is probably a better way to say it. And we don't just come out of the box having skillful skills. It takes cultivation to really start using these on a daily, moment by moment, to start relieving suffering. And that's why a lot of our preceptors have the Su at the end of their names. I'm Yong Su, which means cultivating striving. Others have Su, cultivating loving compassion. Cultivating is the key. We don't just get this right out of the box. We cultivate it over time. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it in the end, because we start to get free and start to have the love. So now I'm going to set a timer so that I can do 9 minutes with you in honor of George Floyd and all the others. We bow.